Hey man, I got here as fast as I could. Who did you say was in the hospital?
Oh, I lied. This is even better. My Pokemon team for Worlds.
So, which Eeveelution are you putting on there?
I'm not?
But if you had to.
I'm not gonna run an Eeveelution.
Pretend someone has a gun to your head.
I just said...
Choose.
Where did you get a gun? You've been hanging with Probopass again, haven't you?
Answer the question.
You don't have to do this. There has to be another way.
I do have to do this. You see, when we were kids, it was simple. There were only 3 to choose from.
Everyone knew which one was best.
Yeah, Flareon.
Jolteon. Probopass. Welcome to the first episode of Player's Perspective, where we talk about games from the point of view of the people who play them, and take an in-depth look at mechanics, player experience, and more.
Today, we want to determine, once and for all, which Eeveelution is best. But before we dive in, what are Eeveelutions, and why should you care?
Eevee is a Pokemon in the first generation, so called because it is the evolution Pokemon.
Pokemon names don't exactly reach for clever. In the first generation, when the other Pokemon could only evolve down a single path, Eevee could evolve based on 3 different typings: fire, water, and electric.
Game Freak, the company behind Pokemon, continued to add more evolutions, all of them following this monotype paradigm. Espeon and Umbreon appear in Generation 2.
Then, they skipped a gen, and we got Leafeon and Glaceon in Gen 4.
Finally, in Gen 6, we got a surprise with one more, Sylveon, the Fairy type.
This brings us to the present. Nowadays, when you want high-level immediate feedback on the perfect Pokemon team, there's only one place to go: Pokemon Showdown. Instant gratification at its finest.
Web resources, like Smogon University, have also popped up, giving you hard and fast numbers when you need to know how a hypothetical matchup is gonna go down.
Using those resources, we've run the numbers to determine how our Eeveelutions stack up, which leaves us only one question. What criteria do we use to grade them? Mean potential? Number of appendages?
How sexy they are.
Probopass. For this, we actually want to ignore aesthetics, as there's no concrete way to judge them. We want to look at actual numbers, with words for context. So our 5 criteria will be: 1. Damage per turn. 2. Stat point synergy. 3. Predictability and versatility. 4. Type advantage. And 5. Ability.
Okay, so we're ranking the Pokemon on 5 criteria, which we weigh equally. The winner of each contest gets 8 points, the person in second 7, and so on until 1 for last.
We then total the scores and give you the best overall Eeveelution. We'll give you a brief overview of the methodology before each section, but for a full breakdown, see the link in the description below.
Point 1. Damage per turn. For this score, we first looked at the average speed of all Pokemon and compared the speed of the Eeveelution to it.
If faster, we gave the contestant 2 shots, if slower, only 1. We based which attacks they would use off of existing competitive builds.
When producing these numbers, we didn't give any of them performance-enhancing items.
We think they'd ruin the athleticism of the sport.
For the recipient of our Eeveelution's damage, we used everyone's favorite punching bag, Shuckle, as he has equal defense and special defense statistics. As a result, this contest does not favor one type of attack over another.
With that in mind, here's how they ranked. In 8th, we have Umbreon. 16 damage with foul play. Umbreon is a wall, and we weren't expecting a big number here.
Continuing on. 7th, Vaporeon, 48 damage via Scald. In 6th, we have Glaceon, dealing 63 damage with Ice Beam.
In 5th, we have Sylveon, dealing 64 damage with Hyper Voice.
In 4th, Flareon, dealing 86 damage with Flare Blitz. He might be slow, but he hits like a truck. A fire truck.
The next 2 come neck and neck, dealing 108 damage, so in the end it came down to speed.
The recipient of our Great Ball here is, in third, Leafeon, dealing 108 damage on 2 attacks with Leaf Blade, and our first to get off 2 attacks.
As we pull up to second, our Ultra Ball goes to Jolteon, 108 damage on 2 Thunderbolts, delivered blisteringly fast. And getting the Master Ball in our first bout, in first, Espeon, with Psychic, dealing 110 damage on 2 attacks.
Here's the scorecard, and after our first contest, we can see that Espeon is on top. Which brings us to
Point 2. Stat Point Synergy. All Eeveelutions have the same stat distribution. This is obviously a balance feature, and it prevents a raw score advantage.
That doesn't mean all Eeveelutions are created equal, however. Some statistics just synergize better with others.
These are stats which combine to enhance a specific role on the team, and which utilize the typing of the Pokémon.
Specialists tend to win over generalists, so while a high speed and high HP are both good to have, having both doesn't give you an increased benefit.
The perfect example of this is our number 8 Glaceon. Its best stat is Special Attack, which is backed up by its next 2 best stats, being Defense and Special Defense. There's no speed to back up its attacks, and no HP to back up its defense.
Climbing the ladder, we see Flareon in 7th, with Attack, Special Attack, and Special Defense. Leafeon in 6th, with Defense, Attack, and Speed.
In 5th, Sylveon, with Special Defense, Special Attack, and HP. 4th, Vaporeon with HP, Special Attack, and Special Defense. You'll notice these are the same 3 high stats as Sylveon, but we felt that between them, having a higher HP backed by defense has more utility than a high defense backed by less HP, giving this one to Vaporeon by a hair.
Taking home the Great Ball, we find in 3rd, Espeon, running Special Attack, Speed, and Special Defense. This is a great example of stacking stats on top of typing. As a Psychic type, you'll want to favor those special attacks, as they're a type staple.
Getting that potent punch out fast is imperative for any good special sweeper, and the speed here delivers.
There is still room for improvement with its last stat, as regular defense would have been better utilized against types it is weak to. The Ultra Ball goes to Umbreon, who boasts special defense, and HP. After getting trounced in the ability to dish damage, Umbreon shines as a damage sink. It can reduce the power of the punches thrown at it before absorbing it into a nice fat reserve of HP.
All in all, Umbreon is just another brick wall.
Combined with its dark typing, Umbreon can sit back, deal damage over time, and wait for this to all blow over. If it led with HP, it might have taken first.
But instead, the Master Ball goes to Jolteon with Speed, Special Attack, and Special Defense.
Remember how Speed helped Espeon? Here it's up front and ready to roll. While Espeon had the edge and damage dealt over our first contest, Jolteon's speed means that it gets to keep its 2-hit advantage, even against very fast Pokemon, where Espeon drops to 1.
Combine this with its electric typing and it's a 1-2 punch. Several electric moves give it access to paralysis, slowing an enemy even further and possibly stopping them completely for a turn. In the end, Jolteon's raw natural speed was too great an advantage on this one.
Natural speed my ass. Bet he's doing X speed in the bathroom.
Probo pass.
Probably choice scoffing there too, kinky bastard.
We go back to the scoreboard to see that Jolteon has broken out from 3rd to 1st, and Umbreon has moved up the pack, edging out Sylveon for 4th, with Umbreon's Ultra Ball breaking the tie. Glaceon, of course, taking the biggest hit here as they drop to last. Point 3. Predictability and Versatility. If you have the best build in the world, it's worth almost nothing if everyone knows exactly what you'll do, and therefore exactly how to counter it.
This contest looks at number of viable competitive builds, variety of attack, and ability to play different roles in your team, to keep the other trainers guessing.
A quick check on Smogon gave us all the data we needed to break it down. In 8th we have Glaceon, a special sweeper who can't sweep, no speed. With no other viable competitive builds, a solid last place.
7th, Flareon. Hits hard. That's it.
In 6th we have Umbreon, can take a punch while setting up.
5th, Vaporeon. Can take a punch, and can dish him out too. 4th, Espeon. Can come in for a quick hit, or be used for a setup if using as a special sweeper. With 2 viable builds, that puts them in the middle of the pack.
Receiving the Great Ball in 3rd is Leafeon. It has a Swords Dance build that is excellent for a sweeper, and has a proven moveset that can utilize a Choice Scarf or a Choice Band. A surprising range of movesets, and it works well on a Sun team.
Our Ultra Ball here, in 2nd, Sylveon. 3 viable builds, Cleric for when you need support, Sweeper for when you need cleanup, and Bulky Punch for when you need a bulky puncher. That kind of variety cinches it in the number 2 spot. But that's nothing compared to the winner of the Master Ball this contest, in first, Jolteon. With many builds usable at a competitive level, and a large moveset of viably competitive moves, it makes it hard to predict what exactly Jolteon has coming for you. But if you need an anything that's fast, he's your guy.
Jolteon surges to the lead, but it's still anyone's game.
I don't think Glaceon stands an Ice-type's chance in hell.
Probo Pass.
Point 4, Type Advantage. For this contest, it was simple. We ran a calculus. How much does each Pokemon's typing affect it in relation to all other typings?
We ran the numbers for both defensive and offensive type matching. For instance, defensively, if you only take half damage from a type, gain a point. For each type that does double damage to you, lose one. Completely immune to something, that's 2 points to you.
Offense works the same way, but in reverse. Dealing double damage is worth a positive point. Dealing half loses you 1, and not having any effect loses you 2. All these pokes are monotype, which makes this math nice and easy.
We broke it down, so let's add them up.
In 8th, Leafeon with -5.
In 7th, Espeon with -3.
In 6th, Glaceon with -3.
In 5th, Jolteon with -1.
In 4th, Umbreon with 0.
The Great Ball goes to Vaporeon with 2.
The Ultra Ball to Flareon with 3.
And the Master Ball goes to Sylveon with also 3. However, Fairy has an immunity to Dragon, giving the edge to Sylveon.
Leafeon takes a hit. Jolteon's clinging to first with Sylveon tickling out his panties, and there seems to be a 3-way for 4th with Leafeon on top only because they got a pair of great balls. Meanwhile, Glaceon's not looking so hot.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Final point. Ability. This one is the most subjective of all our categories. If for that reason you want to reject this contest outright, we suggest you use the scorecard you just saw. However, subjective is not arbitrary.
These were based off our best judgment. We took a holistic approach, comparing ability to use on a team, as well as how it helps the individual in battle. The more specific the conditions to trigger the ability, the more poorly it did. Small benefits, that don't seem as likely to affect the outcome of a given battle, were diminished as well.
Essentially, we want to see a large, positive effect all of the time. With that in mind, and last we have Glaceon. Ice Body, secondary ability Snow Cloak.
Hey, remember that time it hailed in a match? We don't either. In 7th, Jolteon. Sitting at first going into this contest, this is going to hurt, and it means that this could be anyone's game. Well, except Glaceon's. Jolteon runs Quick Feet. The problem being that he needs to be statused for it to work. Plus, he's probably fast enough. Secondary is Volt Absorb, because you're likely to hit an electric type with an electric attack, right?
6th, Vaporeon. Hydration. Highly conditional. Water Absorb. Same problem as Volt Absorb. You're probably not coming at a water type with a water move. 5th, Flareon. Flash Fire is amazing if you're dumb enough to attack a Flareon with the fire attack.
The ability makes it immune to all fire damage and gives it a supercharged 1.5 multiplier to its own attacks once it's been hit. So why would you ever do that?
At least its secondary Guts is decent, boosting its already considerable attack when it's affected by non-volatile statuses. 4th, Leafeon. Chlorophyll or Leaf Guard. Both decent to run on a Sun team, but still conditional.
Taking home the Great Ball, in 3rd, Umbreon. Synchronize is great for Umbreon, considering that he's a wall. It could go a lot better for you than for your opponent. That being said, most attacks don't status you, and this doesn't prevent you from being statused. Still, it'll make your opponent think twice before whipping out their status moveset. Secondarily, people run Inner Focus, which, not as useful, still not terrible.
Getting the Ultra Ball in 2nd is Espeon. Magic Bounce. Don't like spikes? Neither does Espeon. Don't like Toxic? Neither does Espeon. Don't like insults about your personal shortcomings? Neither does Espeon. And its secondary ability is a primary that stuck Umbreon in the number 3 slot, Synchronize. A solid choice either way.
But taking home the Master Ball, in 1st, Sylveon, with Pixelate. This potent pill is just what the doctor ordered. When it comes to an ability which you'll see used, there's no question on this one. Pixelate turns all normal type moves into fairy type and then multiplies the damage output on them by 1.2. And while that might not seem like a huge damage multiplier, that's on top of stab damage multiplication. Sure, Sylveon didn't win the DPT contest, but this ability gives it a wide range of moves. Compared to other abilities on this list, a clear number 1. Additionally, their secondary ability is Cute Charm, which can be fairly useful by itself. So today, we showed that depending on what you're looking for in an Eeveelution, different ones shine in different roles. If damage output is your thing, you'll want to prefer Espeon. If you're concerned about typing or having an ability edge, then Sylveon is your choice. If you care about raw stat synergy or unpredictability, Jolteon has tight, natural numbers. And if you want the one who has the most going for them overall, you'll choose Sylveon, the best Eeveelution. That's our perspective, but what's yours? Let us know in the comments below.